Breaking news, the Arizona Diamondbacks have agreed to a 6-year deal worth $210 million with free agent starting pitcher Corbin Burnes. Did anybody have this one on their bingo card? I would think not. What a great signing this is for the Arizona Diamondbacks. Gives them a very formidable rotation, and nobody, I think, had this one anywhere in their deck today. Just look at the signing itself. To opt out after 2 years, deal was announced by John Heyman moments ago. Let us know in the comment section what you think about the Diamondbacks' new roster, rotation anyway, and what do you think their next steps are going to be. Earlier today, we talked about the possibility of them bringing in Kirby Yates. We had question marks about that even possibly happening, and now we see them going out there and spending $210 million over 6 years. Just an incredible contract here for Corbin Burnes. Nobody, I think, had this number at 6 years for 210. He was looking for $245 million, according to some reports we saw over the last 24 hours. But now, what a move this has to be. And looking at the teams that ultimately miss out here, looking at the Giants, looking at the Blue Jays. Blue Jays, I think, have the worst fit here, along with the Orioles. Orioles needed to have him back there and to legitimize that rotation. Now the only options left for them to give them a number one at the head of that rotation are only via trade. The Blue Jays, meanwhile, have not been able to lure any top-flight free agent over there. Tells me we're going to see Vlad Guerrero Jr. and Bo Bichette be moved at the deadline. There's no legitimate piece that is left out there, and there are rumblings about the Tigers possibly getting Alice Bregman, another piece that the Blue Jays will not be able to lure in. Welcome in, everybody. Already got 30 of you guys with us right now. Thank you guys for the super chat there already. VPCZX, the Toronto Blue Jays have once again become a national embarrassment in my country. We are cooked. I couldn't agree more with you, my friend. I mean, look at the situation the Blue Jays are in, with the failure to continue to bring in these pieces. But let's focus on the good right here. What does this do for a very difficult division to win out there in the NL West? I get it. The Diamondbacks are trying to, keep up with the Joneses, with the LA Dodgers out there. Does this move keep them on par with them? I would say not. Does this give them a legitimate rotation 1 through 5? Absolutely. Of course, you're counting on a big bounce back year from Jordan Montgomery if you're hoping to have any hope of having a better rotation than the LA Dodgers right now. But you gotta love the signing if you're a Diamondbacks fan. My bigger question is, where is the money coming from for this Arizona Diamondbacks team? They go out there and shell out for Jordan Montgomery. They say, this is the worst decision we've ever made in free agent history. Then they go out and do another big signing on a free agent starting pitcher with an even bigger contract at 6 for $210 million with an opt-out after 2 years. I don't see the train of logic here for the Diamondbacks, but if I'm a fan of the Diamondbacks, I gotta love it. They're at least investing in my team, and who knows, it's not my money. If they can't figure out their finances down the road, so be it, but I'm hoping that they win a World Series if I'm a Diamondbacks fan. Let us know in the chat what you guys think of the deal overall. Is it a good thing for the Diamondbacks to invest this level of money in Burnes? Is this the right move for them to kind of push forward? Are they going to trade one of their starters, not named Jordan Montgomery at this point? Remains to be seen how they really work this contract out. But let us know in the comment section what you think of this deal overall. Appreciate you guys joining us already. Got 35 already in the chat. What a crazy signing it is right after midnight Central Time. So just past 10 o'clock on the West Coast. He is a lives in Scottsdale, Arizona, so it's not going to be very far for him to get to the field at all. So kind of a hometown team for him, I guess you could say. But you got to say the deal is really the reason why this deal gets done. 6 years at 210. We were talking earlier this evening anyway about a 7 for 210 possibly being where the market is at. Possibly 8 for 245. Nowhere did anybody mention 6 for 210 being a realistic possibility. So let's go ahead and check out Twitter, some of the fallout that is happening over there. Welcome in, a ton of comments already in the chat. We'll try to catch up on some of those as we go further along. Just crazy the deal we just saw. Let's dig in on Twitter and keep you guys updated here. You see the deal here. John Heyman tweeted this. Let me go ahead and update the page here because there's a lot of tweets that are rolling in on my phone right now. The tweet itself happened 11 minutes ago. 6 for 210. Opt out after 2 years. Nightingale again confirming it there. Fine Sam drops in the deal includes the opt out after 26. Scottsdale, Arizona native. Corbin Burnes was offered more by the Giants and Blue Jays, but big tax difference in Arizona again makes some sense there. I wonder what the number ultimately was from the Giants that they were offering. The reports we were hearing is that the Giants really weren't going above, any type of a tax threshold. That was the issue they were having out there. But of course, California state tax, Canadian taxes, etc. with Toronto also have to come into play. Maybe this is the first case we've really seen of a free agent taking a deal for tax reasons. Of course, he lives in Arizona. Got to think the hometown team, played into this one a little bit. But what we were expecting was going to be a quiet winter for the Arizona Diamondbacks certainly just got jumped up by them taking the top free agent starting pitcher this offseason. Let us know in the comment section what you think of the deal overall. Let's catch up on some of these comments here. Just going to try to start here at the bottom and try to catch up as quickly as I can. Rafe, all this and not even make the playoffs is crazy. If they don't make the playoffs with this rotation, I think this rotation alone with Corbin Burnes should be enough to at least catapult them into a wild card spot. We talked about the possibility of the Cubs trying to make a 2025 season their all-in, quote-unquote, season, try to get at least to a playoff series. With this addition here, I don't see them breaking in unless they win the division. I don't think there's going to be a wild card that comes out of the Central at this point. I think you're going to get the Phillies out of the East. Braves probably make it, depending on how things work out in the NL West. But I think the Padres at this point certainly make it. Giants are a better team, but I'd say the Diamondbacks certainly have vaulted themselves above the Giants and could pass the Padres. The question is, do they have enough offense really with that with the loss of Christian Walker? Maybe freeing up a little bit of money there. Maybe another little bit of money they could free up is trading away Jordan Montgomery. But as it stands right now, what a heck of a deal for the Arizona Diamondbacks. Let us know in the comment section what you guys think of the deal overall. Got 45 of you guys with us. Make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe if you are new here. Let's check out some of these other comments here and catch up on some of the chats that you guys have sent us. Diamondbacks will have 3 potential free agents in their rotation with Gallen, Kelly, and Montgomery. They now have protection. Good point there by Nightingale. I didn't realize Gallen was already this close to free agency. And this gives them some insurance to where they could lose one, if not both, Gallen and Kelly. I'd say Montgomery is gone for sure. I'd imagine they try to retain one of those two, Gallen or Kelly. Kelly probably being the easier to retain via salary. Gallen might have a pretty good market if he has a good year with Arizona. Let's see. Corbin Burnes has an opt-out after 2 years. Heyman. Burnes goes home with a surprise deal. Arizona resident. Diamondbacks assembling dynamic rotation. Burnes, Gallen, Kelly, Erod, Fat, Nelson, and Montgomery. True, they did spend on Eduardo Rodriguez as well last offseason, but this is incredible. I thought, normally I saw your comment there, thought it was fake news until the update came out so late. Just crazy, just seeing this deal pop up. It's 12 o'clock Central, 10 o'clock on the West Coast, so you can understand how they still might be trying to, iron things out there. But boy, oh boy, what a rotation the Diamondbacks are now going to have. They would probably jump up for me. I still think the Mariners are probably the best in the American League. Dodgers, to me, depending on what they end up with as their number 5 starter, are probably the best option in the National League. Phillies are right there as well. But Burnes, Gallen, Kelly, Erod, Fat, just those 5 there with maybe a resurgent year from Montgomery or Nelson there, taking the reins a little bit better. I would say they're right there with the Dodgers as one of the best in the National League. Let's see here. Graham, welcome in. I agree Monty will get moved. Mind you, even his 1 year at 25 might not seem that steep now. True, they might take down, say, half of that deal, see if another team will bite down on that deal and just try to save a little bit of money, at least for tax purposes this year. But what a deal here for the Diamondbacks. Let's catch up on a few more of these comments here. The Diamondbacks' previous record contract was for Zach Greinke. Remember that deal, 6 for 206? That deal looked good the first couple of years, but then it just became a bit of an albatross. We saw how that one ended up. Let's see here. Baseball trade values. Our model projects Corbin Burnes to be worth $214 million over the next 6 years, just above the reported $210 million deal. So he is getting exactly market value according to baseball trade values. But again, there are some peripheral numbers that do worry you with Corbin Burnes. We've discussed those a little bit. Strikeout numbers coming down a little bit. But that seems to happen with every pitcher as they age. So you learn how to, pitch a little bit deeper into games, be able to work around, diminished velocity, all those kinds of issues. And Burnes is starting to experience a little bit of that. Got to think about years 4, 5, and 6 of this deal, how it will affect the Diamondbacks, how it affects their payroll structure going forward. But no tax, just like you mentioned there, JG. Welcome back. Welcome back, Sean. Appreciate you guys joining us. Huge tax incentive, of course, going to Arizona and just being a native there of Arizona. Got to think this is a great thing for the Diamondbacks organization. They bring in Naylor. They are pushing their chips to the center for 2025 and for 2026, I do believe. I think they're probably going to retain one of those two, Gallen or Kelly. I don't think they retain both. But they're going to have Eduardo Rodriguez fat in that rotation as well going forward. So they're going to have a pretty good rotation. It's just a matter of how does that lineup continue to develop. Those young pieces that are coming in the outfield, how do they ultimately work out as well? Sean, what's next for the Giants starting pitcher wise? Honestly, I'm not sure there's a fit right now in the free agent market. Maybe there's a 1 year deal or a 2 year deal out there. Andrew Heaney, I've mentioned quite a few times on other videos that we've made, but that would be probably the next tier guy. Nick Pivetta on the free agent market. Then you get into the trade targets. Luis Castillo, Mariners and Giants have come together on a trade before. They have Robbie Ray already in-house. Maybe they revisit the well there with the Mariners once again and see what they can come up with. But for me, Giants have already had a successful offseason. I think the best offseason they ever could have hoped for was to get Adames, Burnes, and Sasaki. Obviously, they already brought in Adames. I think that's a great signing for them, even if they don't get the other two done. It's a great first step forward for the Giants. There's more work to do, but what a move here for the Diamondbacks. Let us know in the chat what you guys think of the signing overall. A, B, C, D, E, or A, B, C, D, or F for the Diamondbacks here on the acquisition of Corbin Burnes. Good comment there, Drake. What does this mean for the Baltimore Orioles? How do the Orioles pivot? Well, we knew when they made the trade for Corbin Burnes last year that he had 1 year left on his deal. Those of us looking at from the outside looking in looked at it and said, hey, the Orioles have to be comfortable with him going to free agency and them being comfortable enough to sign him for a deal that was going to be worth roughly $30 million a year. This contract is obviously worth a little bit more than that, but I would say this is still a deal that when you traded for Corbin Burnes during the season, you could conceivably think this is a legitimate chance of happening, the numbers that you're seeing now. Is this a good outcome for the Orioles long term? Remains to be seen. The money is the issue there. They're a small market team. Where do they pivot, though? They need a number one at the front of that rotation. When they made the trade for Corbin Burnes, I thought they should have gotten an extension done. He was going to go to free agency. We saw how things worked out with the Brewers. He was not going to sign a deal there. So they took a chance on it and hoped for the best. Things didn't work out. They collapsed in the postseason once again. And here we are. They're in need of another ace. And there's not one of Corbin Burnes' quality left on the free agent market or on the trade market. It'll be up to Dylan Cease or Luis Castillo of the trade market guys that might come in and be able to help them out. But for right now, they're a little bit of limbo. So we'll see what happens there. Welcome in, Mike. Appreciate you joining us. B. Skrills, welcome back. Caleb, Yodel, appreciate you joining us once again. What's next for the Cubs? They should trade Nico and sign Pete Alonso. I'm not sure they'd go after Pete. I don't think they have the money to do it. Stroman might also be more appealing, at least I hope. I guess if a Stroman for Montgomery deal, like I've mentioned before, maybe just swapping bad contract for bad contract could be something they look to try to do. Shake things up on both sides. Caleb, with the Diamondbacks seemingly going for it, could you see them trying to get Bichette out of the Jays? I'm not sure who the Diamondback shortstop is, so could perhaps use an upgrade. If I remember correctly, Jordan Lawler is one of their aspiring prospects. They got some good young talent coming. They could go after Bo Bichette as far as a 1 year trade here at the trade deadline, but they're not going to do it before the season. The Blue Jays are going to try to win this year and try to at least save their jobs. So expect a trade of Bichette and Guerrero at the deadline, but not before then. Let's see here. I truly believe this isn't a great move for Arizona, to be honest. Honestly, it is a big risk. The money is a huge issue for me. Do they have the financial resources to be able to continue to invest in free agency? Remember, they're going to have Kelly, Gallen, Montgomery in that rotation hit free agency. Naylor's going to be hitting free agency, another guy they just brought in. And now you bring in Corbin Burnes, 6 years at 210. Where is the money coming from, and where are they willing to spend it going forward? They're going to have some young pieces coming up. I wonder if they're going to go with an all-young outfield out there. They have the pieces to where they could do it. If they give Jordan Lawler some everyday playing time at the major league level, another way they could do it to try to maintain a financial flexibility. They got Moreno behind the plate. With this rotation, that's going to have to be the focal point of this team is that pitching staff. They're going to have to be able to pitch. They're going to have to play great defense, and they're going to have to be able to do timely hitting in order to get this team to really push across the finish line. This year, I don't think they're going to have that big of a worry with that. But as they get those young players coming up, they're going to have to rely on that pitching staff in years 2, 3, 4 of that deal with Corbin Burnes. We'll see how it works out. Got 50 of you guys with us right now. It's a little after 12:30 a.m. Central Time. Appreciate you guys joining us. We'll have a very early morning live tomorrow, so make sure you guys join us as we break down all the fallout from the Corbin Burnes signing. We'll have updates on the Orioles, updates on the Blue Jays, Giants. We'll also follow up on the Diamondbacks and see what else might be in the works now that they've made two out-of-nowhere moves. The trade for Josh Naylor, letting Christian Walker leave and go to the Houston Astros, and now the signing of Corbin Burnes. Let's see. Heel, welcome in, welcome in. It's easily it makes sense, and it gives your team a great chance to win the World Series. Honestly, I like the assessment you have there, Heel. I mean, they really were trying to win this past season. That's why they went out and brought in Rodriguez. That's why they bring in Montgomery. Ultimately, those deals didn't work out as well as they had hoped. So they go out there and try once more into the breach, as they say. And while this is kind of a one-year thing with all the rest of the guys coming into free agency, they've at least got themselves a long-term option. So from that standpoint, I understand the move. I still don't give it an A, though, because of the contract itself. I just wonder about their long-term finances, who they're going to keep in that rotation, how they're going to continue to build out this team from a lineup perspective, and what else are they going to do this offseason? Do they now go after Kirby Yates, since they've already spent $210 on Corbin Burnes? Do they go another option in trade? Say the pieces that they have, the young outfielders that are coming, do they use one of those guys and go cheap in the bullpen and bring in a Mason Miller to really lock down the ninth inning? So that's something I would imagine that the Diamondbacks might be looking at now to try to maximize a win-now type of team, a team that's trying to win a series in 25 and into 26. If they plan to be aggressive, then that re-sign certain players won't be an issue. I'll agree with you there, Heel. I mean, if they bring back a couple of those guys that are free agents, for instance, Naylor, I think it would be a great, if it works out this year, it'd be great for them to be able to re-sign him and just kind of keep things rolling. The rotation, I think they will be able to re-sign one of Gallen or Kelly. I don't think they'll be able to re-sign both. Montgomery's going to go elsewhere after the season as well if he's not traded before that. But Burnes at least gives you a number one in this rotation. Gallen's probably going to still be your opening day starter, though. Burnes probably your number two. Kelly your number three. Rodriguez I'd say Fat your four, and Rodriguez your five. And then you have Nelson and Montgomery kind of waiting in the wings there. And just see how things work out from health and those kind of perspectives. JG, Framber getting traded now. Astros can't afford him. Honestly, I don't think that's the Astros can or can't afford them is the issue right now. I think the issue for them is going to be whether or not they can extend him. But I get your point there. They have money issues in the past, and this could continue that, the issues that they're having right now is they're not willing to give a long-term deal. With Corbin Burnes getting as much as he just got, you got to think the number for Framber just went through the roof. Something that the Houston Astros may not be comfortable with, which is what we've seen in years past with Garrett Cole and Justin Verlander. I think the next iteration of that is going to be Framber Valdez. Got to see how the rest of this shakes out, though. What does this mean for the camp for Framber Valdez? What does this mean for the rest of the free agent market? Money is certainly flowing in Major League Baseball, as you can see this offseason. Great contract here for Burnes, 6 for 210. Juan Soto, 15 for 765. Just incredible numbers we're seeing. Let us know in the comment section what you think of this deal. Let us know where you're watching from, and hit that like and subscribe. As I said, we'll be live again early this morning. Now that we're after midnight here Central Time, we'll say this morning. So make sure you guys join us then. We'll have all the latest fallout. Let's go ahead and update and just see if anything else is coming across here. Let's see here. D-backs are going to make life tough on the Dodgers and Padres this season. Burnes, Gallen, Rodriguez, Fat, Kelly, with Jordan Montgomery still there, though he could be traded. Again, talking about the contract itself, let's go ahead and head over to MLB trade rumors and just see what else is happening. Not too much information there. Update one more time on X. Itai, welcome back. Been a minute since I've seen you here. Appreciate you joining us. I guess he was wrong. No one knew it. D-backs were a sleeper. I guess I'll give you that one. You know, everybody deserves a little bit of a mulligan, but you know, I was hoping for the Rangers, my friend. I was really hoping for that one. You gave me such hope. But we'll see. I don't think anybody had the Diamondbacks as a sleeper team here. The one thing I will say about the whole free agency for Corbin Burnes, I kept saying that the Giants were the favorites, that it looked like he wanted to go to San Francisco, and that the Diamondbacks, the Blue Jays, as much as they might have the biggest offer out there, didn't look like they were going to get that deal done. And the longer it took for that Giants deal to get done, other teams were going to have interest. There was a quote-unquote mystery team reported by John Heyman and several others after a while. There were speculations it could be the Orioles, Red Sox, Rangers, maybe even the Dodgers or Yankees at some point. Mets might even get back into it. Nobody, and I mean nobody, mentioned the Arizona Diamondbacks as a quote-unquote mystery team here for Corbin Burnes. 6 years, $210 million with an opt-out after 2 years. Just an incredible signing here by the Arizona Diamondbacks, and hats off to their GM for having the guts to go out there and double down in free agency. After it didn't work out great last year in free agency with Jordan Montgomery, they do so with an even bigger deal with Corbin Burnes. Now, granted, Corbin Burnes is a significantly better pitcher with a better resume, a Cy Young caliber pitcher, whereas Jordan Montgomery is still a very good pitcher at the time when they brought him in, but year one could not have gone much worse there. Getting the deal done here early in free agency as well. I say early, we're in the second half of free agency, but early enough to where he can settle in. He's already comfortable with the area, lives in Scottsdale after all. I think the transition for him is going to be significantly easier than what it was for Jordan Montgomery last year. I think this probably means Jordan Montgomery is going to be on the way out sometime this offseason, probably before spring training. It's just a matter of where and how much do they eat of that deal. What do they even get in return? We'll see what happens there. Graham Freed got 8 for 218, and now you see Corbin Burnes 6 for 210. Gotta say, Corbin Burnes did a great deal there. Let's see, Heel, as an Astros fan, depending on how Dana feels about Framber, maybe the D-backs trade for him. I don't think so. I think they've got their rotation pretty locked up right now. As far as, where could Framber go? Maybe a team like the Baltimore Orioles. We just talked about how, they're going to need an ace of their staff. Say they don't get an extension done by whatever self-imposed deadline they give themselves. They want to, avoid losing him for nothing in free agency, like what they just did with Kyle Tucker, and try to maximize some value there. Maybe they make a trade there and say, hey, give us Grayson Rodriguez and one of your top prospects. We'll make the deal, and you got Framber Valdez for at least 1 year. That would be a crazy type of a deal, but something that I wouldn't see out of the realm of possibility at this point for the Orioles. It just seems they would rather go the trade route. Let's see here. Graham, the Browns, no one wants to go there. They're really in a mess. That is a little rough, Graham, but I get your point there. There's no reason for free agents to look at the Blue Jays situation and say it's promising. Say it's somewhere they want to go, other than the fact that maybe they get Guerrero to resign, maybe they get Bichette to resign, but they're going to have a ton of money coming off their books in the next couple of years. They're going to spend in free agency. Now, the thing is, are they going to have a team that's really going to be able to push for a postseason run at any point? That's the issue. Their prospects have not really worked out there in Toronto. Now they've tried to go free agency, and it looks like they're going to come up short again. I've told you guys over the last couple of weeks now, I worried about the Toronto Blue Jays becoming the next San Francisco Giants under Farhan Zaidi, and it looks like it might be coming true. I told you guys earlier in the live, I was a little hard on the Blue Jays, but I said it looks like could be the end of the most recent, run. This team that they built up around Vlad Guerrero Jr. and Bo Bichette. This could be the last time you really see them in that Toronto Blue Jays uniform. And I think that pretty much is solidified at this point. I think Bregman is going to go elsewhere. I think the Tigers and Red Sox are the heavy favorites at this point. Burnes is now signed elsewhere. The Giants have some money to spend next offseason. I don't see how the Blue Jays really recover at this point unless they're able to re-sign both of their star players. And I just don't think they're going to be able to keep both. Best case scenario, they keep one of them, but I don't think they keep both at this point. Lucas, where is Montgomery going? I assume they have to trade him. They have a trade on the table for him. I'd imagine there's a few teams that are out there saying, hey, if you're going to give him away and eat the entirety of that contract, we'll take him for nothing. I'm sure there's a few teams out there for that. But I think they're hoping to at least get off of a little bit of that money on Jordan Montgomery as much as just getting him out of the clubhouse and away from that team. Ownership had some very foul things to say about him, and I'm pretty sure he would love to get out of there and settled in his new home before, 2 days before opening day, unlike what he had to, go into the season with. I'd say Montgomery had a really rough shake this year in Arizona based on how hard it was for him to get a deal agreed to. I think he was continually hoping to go back to Texas, and when that became, inevitable that it wasn't going to happen, he just took the best deal that he could make, and that was with Arizona. That didn't work out. I think a lot of that has to do with, not having a spring training, not getting settled, and then just never getting comfortable there in Arizona. Hopefully with Burnes having a lot more time to be able to get settled before you even get to spring training, being comfortable with the area, we could see something like that. Ethan, Montgomery for John Gray cooking? I don't buy that one. I would say if the Rangers were to get in on something like that, John Gray would probably be headed elsewhere. I don't think the Diamondbacks would be interested in him. For instance, the A's are still looking for some starting pitching. Maybe they could be a team that takes on Jordan Montgomery or John Gray. But I don't see the Rangers, moving John Gray to bring in Jordan Montgomery, even though I think they would rather have Montgomery. I think he would fit better with Mike Maddox. But we'll see. Rafe, Arizona mentally think they have a winner, but I really don't think they do. I think it's a bad move that won't pan out. I get the risk there, Rafe, but I mean, you're looking at a rotation that's going to have two of their top three pitchers going out of that rotation. And now they bring in Corbin Burnes. Now they have some stability to where if they don't re-sign one of them, they don't have to overpay for the other one. To where if they, don't even have to overpay for either one of them. They have the stability now in that rotation by bringing in Corbin Burnes. And I would argue Corbin Burnes has a better track record of success than both Gallen and Kelly. Could be the best pitcher they brought in since, I don't know, Randy Johnson, Kurt Schilling, that era. That's the level of pitcher they just brought in. Zach Greinke was the best before that, before this deal as far as the greatest contract. I'd say Corbin Burnes is a better track record, at least right now, with his ability to stay healthy a little bit longer. I think, Greinke signed at a little older of an age, and we saw how the back end of that deal worked out. I just don't see how, Burnes could necessarily be worse than Greinke at the way that contract aged. I think Burnes has a little bit more left in his tank anyway than Greinke did when he signed that same deal. David, welcome in. As a Yankees fan, I'm so happy. Get him away from my Yankees competition. I like that one. Lucas, John Gray to A's, Dylan Cease to Texas. I mean, the Rangers have at least kicked the tires on Dylan Cease in the past. Honestly, I'm hoping, against that possibility. I would rather go a different direction there. But I get how the Rangers are still looking for any way to improve at this point. David, Dodgers, Red Sox, Orioles didn't get him. Exactly. That is correct. Got about 50 of you guys with us. We'll probably hang it up here shortly so that we can let y'all rest. We'll be live with you guys early tomorrow, so make sure I guess today. Be sure to join us then as well. Just a few more comments. If you guys want to send them to us, send them now anyway. Check in on X one more time, see if anything else is happening here. As looks like John Heyman has written his article with the Winters. Shocker, D-backs get better in baseball's strongest division at the top. Can't argue there. The top three teams there have all gotten better this offseason. Even the fourth team got better this offseason as well. It doesn't look like anything else is happening on X. Let's head over to MLB trade rumors. Nothing too much there as well. But again, Scott Boras does it again. 6 years, $210 million for Corbin Burnes. Just wow. David, Rangers might get Monty back. Yes, I think that's a possibility. I think they have some good options in the starting rotation, but I think their primary goal in the rotation right now is Roki Sasaki. VPCZX, thank you for the 5 again. Appreciate that. I love my city of Toronto. We are so much more than what the media and social media say. I mean, Toronto's a great city. I've watched so many different videos on the city of Toronto. That's one of the destinations in the world I would love to visit there. But as far as the Blue Jays go, to kind of keep it with a baseball conversation, I think it could be a very difficult few years here. So, maybe we're looking at a complete teardown. Trade Bichette, Guerrero for whatever pittance you can get. You try to trade Gosman. You try to, bear through the last years of the Springer deal. You try to, hold things down with Jimenez and see if he, outplays his contract. See if his bat starts to come around and play up a little bit. Maybe trade Barrios if you can, if he kind of develops that strikeout pitch again, if he can keep that ERA down and avoid the home run ball, and then just really tear things down to the studs there in Toronto. But the issues, the big issues I want to focus on tomorrow when we go on our live, what's next for Baltimore? What do they do to address the loss of Corbin Burnes? We all knew this was coming. They were not going to spend on Corbin Burnes. What's next for the Arizona Diamondbacks? Do they go after Kirby Yates? Do they double down and get both of those deals done? Maybe have to come on live at 2 a.m. and Kirby Yates has signed a 2-year deal worth $25 million. At this point, who knows with the Diamondbacks? What happens next with Texas with their bullpen issues? They're looking for a high leverage reliever. Kirby Yates is their guy, but now with the Diamondbacks entering the chat, them getting Corbin Burnes 6 for 210 tells me there's more money on the market than what we may have even thought even after Juan Soto's signing. And so we might see some crazy deals. Another team I'm looking at is the San Francisco Giants. Do they pivot and try to add another starter? Or are they just seeing it Corbin Burnes as a rare possibility to improve their rotation in a big way? And so they said, hey, we'll take a risk, but otherwise we're set. Do they move on from Doval? Or do they just keep their powder dry and try to spend in free agency next year? What happens with the Blue Jays? Where do they pivot? Do they sign Nick Pivetta? Do they go after one of these other mid-tier starting pitchers that are left? Do they go after the trade market as well? All of these are legitimate possibilities. Do they, really tear this thing down there? Trade Varsho, trade Kirk, trade literally everything that's not nailed down. Abraham, welcome in. The 25 Rockies are going to be like the 24 White Sox playing in the wild NL West. I mean, it is Colorado. Their pitching has been terrible, but, offense does play. The pitching rotations there in the NL West are going to be something to contend with. Dodgers, Padres, and the Diamondbacks probably have the best rotations in that division, but don't sleep on that Giants rotation. I think they'll still be a pretty good rotation, even with Webb and Ray at the top and whoever else they have in there. But, then you get the Rockies, at the bottom dwellers in that division. You're going to have 4 teams really vying for playoff positioning all year long. I think the Giants are going to fall short. Diamondbacks before this edition I thought would have fallen short with the addition of Naylor and now Burnes. I think they've firmly thrust themselves into one of the wild cards contention anyway. Let's see here. Going to catch up on a couple of these comments before we head out here. Graham, I wonder if the Jays phone will be ringing with the Mets trying to get a Vladdy trade. I'm sure the Mets are trying to improve this team any way they possibly can. I think they're trying to do it via free agency first. And if there's an opportunity, a low-cost trade that they can make, maybe they do something like that. But I don't think the Jays are going to trade Vladdy at this point, no matter what you do. Vlad Guerrero Jr. has set a deadline of the start of spring training to get a long-term extension done. However unlikely that might be. Lucas, I'm not very excited about Kumar Rocker as third option, including a Rook shouldn't be second option at times, and Jacob inevitably spends time on the injured list. Looking at the Rangers rotation, DeGrom's your 1, Eovaldi's your 2, Gray is your 3, Molly is your 4, Rocker is your 5. Now I get how you're worried about injuries with Molly and DeGrom. Eovaldi still is your 1, and then you have John Gray, who may or may not be on this team if they decide to trade him. If you bring in Montgomery, I think Montgomery would slot in ahead of Kumar Rocker as well. And then you still have Jack Leiter and Cody Bradford and Dane Dunning waiting in the wings. And then you could even bring back a Jose Urena. I wouldn't say they're in a bad spot with that rotation, but I would say Kumar's going to have all the rope he wants at the major league level to try to succeed, and there's not going to be too much pressure on him as being a quote-unquote second or third option. I think there's going to be other veterans that will take that mantle for him and allow him to just, get his feet wet and get himself comfortable at the big league level. Heel. Here's a thought. Seager will be more than likely a DH in the future. What if we trade for B.O., or does Josh Smith just play there? trade for Bo. Seager's been able to hold down that position longer than anybody really thought. Everybody thought he'd be played off the position. He'd have to slide over to third base or maybe even DH. He's been a very good defender for the Rangers since he's been at shortstop. I don't think the Rangers are saying he's done at short yet. Maybe in 2 or 3 years, but there's no reason to panic now. If you're worried about that long term, maybe you go after him in free agency if you're interested in Bo Bichette, but there's no reason to think they're going to do so when Corey Seager is able to hold down the position still at a very successful level. We have so much to offer, and we continue to make Toronto a better city every hour of every day of every week. I mean, I'll agree, Toronto's a great city, but the Blue Jays are going to have a tough time. Lucas, D-backs are guaranteed wild card now, you think? I'm not going to say guaranteed. You look at the teams that I think are locks to go to the playoffs. You're going to have the division winner out of the Central. You're probably leaning towards the Brewers there, if I had to guess. The Dodgers, to me, are still the favorites even after the signing of Corbin Burnes here. They get in. I would say the Mets and Phillies, whoever wins the division, whoever gets into the wild card. That's 4 teams. That leaves you, 2 more spots for, teams like the Padres, the Diamondbacks, the Atlanta Braves, the Cubs, anyone else in the Central who might be vying for position here. Giants, I think, missed, though. But do I think they're guaranteed a wild card spot? I would say no at this point. But maybe I just want to see how Naylor really fits. I want to see how this rotation comes together. I want to see how the back end of the bullpen works. And their young guys, are they able to come up and produce for the Diamondbacks this year? That's a lot of big question marks for the Diamondbacks. And they're a good team. I'm not going to deny that. Their rotation is seriously legitimate right now. On paper, I would say they're a very good rotation. But I want to see them prove it during a 162-game season. But for me, they're right there with all those other wild card teams. Does this improve their floor overall? I would say yes. I think they're guaranteed probably 90 wins at this point, which should be enough in a normal year to get them into the wild card. But that division is going to be so difficult. I think you're going to have every team there besides the Rockies around that 90-win total. So they may very well miss the postseason. Alrighty, about to wrap up here. Let me catch just a couple more comments here. Ethan, Luis Castillo to Baltimore Orioles soon. I think that's a very legitimate possibility. David, are the Astros scary again? Scary, no. Better, yes. YouTube, thank you for joining us. Can't remember if you've been with us before. If you guys are new here, make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe. San Diego Braves, Mets, Diamondbacks fighting for 3 wild card spots. I guess that means you think the Phillies are winning the division. You got 2 out of the NL East, 2 out of the NL West, and then you still have the Giants that are going to be better. You're going to have the Cubs, Pirates that are going to be better as well in the Central. Reds, if they add some starting pitching and a bat, could be better, but I don't trust them until they get those things. Graham, Mariners might be thanking their lucky stars. They might get to move Castillo now. I'm not sure about thanking their lucky stars. I think they have to be able to make some moves offensively. By him going to a team that wasn't necessarily vying for a starting pitcher, or at least viewed as a team looking for a starting pitcher this offseason, now there's less starting pitchers to go for those starting pitcher needy teams, and so the price is only going to go up for Castillo. So I get the comment there. It does make sense. David, who's the guy that Phillies picked up in a trade with the Orioles last year? Austin Hayes, I believe. He is a free agent, if I remember correctly. Willie, welcome in. Appreciate you joining us. Any moves you see the Angels making? I would say Yoan Moncada would be the one I would be looking for. Maybe a platoon guy like Randall Grichuk. Other than that, I think their big spending is done. They're not going to get Pete Alonso. I've seen a lot of Angels fans hoping for that. There's no way they're going to do that. John Heyman mentioned the Angels as a possible fit. They like Shanuel at first base. He had a down year compared to what Pete Alonso normally puts up. But they're happy with Shanuel at first base, and they want to see if he can continue to develop. By bringing in Alonso, there's no way that would help his development, so I think that would short-circuit their chances to get better in the long run. Nicholas, welcome back. Appreciate you joining us. Man, I ain't going to lie, I didn't see the Diamondbacks coming. Nobody did, my friend. I thought Burnes would be a giant for sure, right there with you. Doesn't matter if the Mets win, then the Phillies fight the wild card, take your pick. True. I kind of have them 1A, 1B, but I have the Mets a little bit better than the Phillies, at least on paper right now. VPCZX, I'm going to cry and fix the Blue Jays on the show 24. I mean, I think that's where you're going to have to go. Sorry, my friend. You got to fix that prospect pool first and foremost. They got a good signing last year via international free agency with Yarel Rodriguez, but they need a lot more than just one piece. They need multiple pieces to come in there and start this thing getting back on the right track, and I think they're going to have to do it without Vlad Guerrero Jr. and Bo Bichette. Will Pete Alonso get 5 years? Absolutely. He's going to get 5 to 6 years. I'd imagine 5 years a guarantee. 6 might be what he's holding out for right now. That's what I meant. His value went up. Yes. Probably 6 if it's a backloaded contract. Very possibly. Nicholas, the Angels won't do anything useful. So trash. I don't know about that. I think they've done some useful things already, although I would say I would rather gone about it a different way rather than bringing in big money contracts that they've already given out. Let's see here. David, I feel bad for the polar bear. I wouldn't feel bad yet. I think he's still going to do very well in free agency. Black Onyx, I think this is the first time I've seen you in here. If you're new here, make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe. Trying to reach 2,100 subscribers by the end of the year. So if you wouldn't mind helping us out, we would greatly appreciate that. Burnes is a Boris client, and Burnes wanted to test free agency at 30. Signing an extension was an unlikely outcome. Yes, true, but when you make the trade, if you're the Baltimore Orioles, to bring in Corbin Burnes with the understanding he has 1 year left on his deal, you have to understand if you're willing to lose him in free agency for the numbers that he was likely to sign for. When you made the trade for Corbin Burnes, you knew he was probably going to get 7 for $210 when you made the deal to begin with. If he's getting 6 for $210, that's a little bit more expensive, sure, but that's not completely out the realm of what you might have expected him to sign for when you hit free agent or when he hits free agency. And while I think he was a great fit in that clubhouse, I think he was the best fit for them at the top of that rotation. Ultimately, they were unable to retain him, and now they have to go with a lesser option as their number 1 starting pitcher. And this is really the time the Baltimore Orioles should be investing in that team, spending the money in free agent starting pitching to be able to make this a real World Series contending championship level team. And right now, without a number 1 in that rotation, they're going to fall short once we get to October. I think they're going to be a great 162 season. But once they get to October, they may very well be swept once again. All right, let's kind of wrap up here. What's up, brother? Hope you had a great Christmas. We did. Happy New Year. Merry Christmas to everybody who's joined us. Diamondbacks should have signed Pete and traded for Gray. Honestly, I like the moves the Diamondbacks have done. I like the trade for Naylor. I think they're going to have to re-sign him to make it worth it to them. But as far as the signing for Burnes here, when you look at the contract situation that they're in with Kelly and with Gallen and Montgomery, they were going to need some starting pitching next offseason. And instead of waiting to where prices probably would have been even higher next year, when teams would have clearly been obvious about what they needed to here, as far as, let me see here, trying to figure out what I'm trying to say here. If you look at the way the Diamondbacks had their rotation set up, they needed to go out there and add a starting pitcher next offseason. By getting him now, they get him locked in at this year's prices as opposed to next, and at a time when they're not viewed as a serious contender for the starting pitcher market. So they can really kind of lay in the weeds and keep the prices down, whereas next year their prices would have been higher because everybody knows they needed some starting pitching. So I like the moves overall. In a vacuum, it looks pretty good, but they need to finish the thing off. They need those young pieces to hit. They need to continue to invest in this team. This cannot be the finishing move for the Diamondbacks. They still need to bring in a reliever, I would imagine. Kirby Yates they've been connected to. We'll see if they can push that one across the finish line. We'll see what happens. Nicholas, I'd like to see your Rangers sign Santander, Mariners trade Castillo to O's for a good youth, then sign Alonso. Honestly, I don't see the Rangers as a fit for Santander. In center, you're going to have one of Carter, who did have injury issues last year, but looks like he'll be healthy for spring training. You're going to have to see what you got in him at the major league level at some point. You had a down year from Tavares. You can't really count on him. So I guess you could say you could move Langford over to center. That was my thought process, is how they could do that. But after bringing in Jock Peterson, I don't see them going after Santander. But I do like the idea of the Mariners trading Castillo to the Orioles. As far as the Mariners getting Pete Alonso, I think that's a little bit more unlikely. I still think the Mets ultimately get that one done. Willie, do you see the Marlins move Santi Alcantara since he's under contract? Maybe at the trade deadline. We got a few Marlins fans that have been in our chat the last couple of days. Anthony has been mentioning it, a few times earlier in the chat that we had a couple hours ago. If you want to check out that section, but I do believe the Marlins are looking kind of trade away everything that's not nailed down at the major league roster. But I think they're going to try to rehab some of the value in Alcantara by getting him back and healthy and being as dominant as he once was, and see what they can do. Lucas, I just commented a screenshot on your tweet. Take a look at it. I think it's a deleted tweet. Appreciate that. I will. Ethan, is Rangers lineup complete, you think? I do. Rafe, Rangers have a 0.1% chance of signing another bat. It's all about the pen right now. I wouldn't say a 0.1. I'd probably say about a 5% chance because I think there's still a chance they bring in either a center fielder, a fourth outfielder if they move off of Leody Taveras, or B, a first baseman if they decide to do something with the bullpen and have to trade away one of Smith or Duran or Foskey or whoever they decide to move. Marlins will have to work out how to get the most out of Alcantara. Yes, which is why I would say they need to show that he's healthy first. Future Angel, maybe. Let's see here. Nicholas, maybe Rangers could use Santander at first base after Lowe trade. I don't think so. I think they'd rather use their young guys that they have in Duran, Foskey, Harris, Smith at first base along with Jake Berger. And Rafe here, Smith, Berger, and maybe Duran will play first. I think that's the plan. Alrighty, appreciate you guys joining us tonight. We're crossing the 45-minute plateau. If you guys want to hit that like and subscribe, really appreciate you guys joining us after midnight. It's after 1 o'clock now as we talk some sports. And we'll be live again probably in about 10 hours. So make sure you guys join us for our live breaking down all the latest from the angles of the Diamondbacks, the fallout here for Corbin Burnes. Same thing with the Orioles, Blue Jays, and Giants especially. Thank you guys joining us. I'd like you to discuss the contents of that screenshot. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick. There's your comment there, Lucas. Okay, the Rangers are reportedly looking to move Marcus Semien to free up some financial space. John Heyman says the Rangers are very interested in trading Semien to the Dodgers for Gavin Lux. That's a new one. I actually follow Rangers Nation, I do believe. It's a screenshot, you say? Rangers _nation. I think I follow them. No, I don't. Okay. I don't see it anywhere recently. Rangers 2025 starting rotation. That's pretty good. Just looking for that piece that you saw there. Honestly, I'm going to say take it with a grain of salt. Your screenshot that you sent there. I do believe that the Rangers, with Marcus Semien, he's kind of the vocal leader in the clubhouse. Seager's more of the lead by example guy. I don't think there's any way they would move Marcus Semien right now. But I get how there might be some within the organization who would like the financial flexibility. I don't think they need it, though. They've shown the ability to continue to operate at this payroll level. And while it's, kind of tied their hands in some respects, I think they're still just fine. Alrighty, appreciate you guys joining us. Let's go ahead and head out for the evening. Just wanted to thank you guys for joining us after midnight for some crazy breaking news. And we'll update you guys on all the fallout from around this Corbin Burnes signing. We told you guys all off season long when we get some big time deals, I don't care what time it is, we will go live. So make sure you join us. Really appreciate that. If you guys wouldn't mind hitting that like and subscribe, we'll be back live in about 10 hours or so. Get some rest, everybody. We'll dig up all the latest rumors before our show tomorrow. And like I said, we'll have a few new updates for you guys on the Orioles, Blue Jays, Giants, and the Diamondbacks with fallout here. Maybe even some Rangers talk as well. Appreciate you guys joining us. We'll see you in a few hours.